So, hi Casey,
Hi, Shivani.
welcome back to our Q&A session.
Yeah,
And
thanks for having me back.
thank you so much for taking out some time for us again. And we are ready with our questions. So
Perfect. Fire away.
basically, we this one question in our mind today, which is that what are the five activities that healthcare marketers or healthcare professionals should actually be focusing on when talking about Facebook marketing?
Ooh, five activities. That's a really good one. So I kind of to reiterate, I guess what we talked about last time. Definitely reviews, as always. Facebook's actually doing a lot of interesting things with the reviews now, where they're kind of turning them into recommendations instead of reviews, which is a little bit
Right.
interesting, and it's a little confusing, but they're still as important as ever. So I would say that's definitely the top one. Uh, I want to say Facebook advertising, but I actually think that just having a public like Facebook page alone that you're constantly monitoring is a little bit more important than advertising. A lot of businesses, especially healthcare businesses, seem to underestimate how important it is to respond to queries and questions on Facebook because they don't typically see it as a very professional platform. However, everybody's different. Some people feel comfortable talking about health information on Facebook, even if it's public or on like one of or talking through like messages and stuff like that. So having a platform where you're constantly or having a Facebook account where you're constantly responding to patient questions, patient concerns, is really, really important. One more thing to note about that is Facebook will actually give you a badge if you have a high enough and quick enough response rate. So, like, if you're only responding to 60% of messages on Facebook, you won't get that badge, and it won't, the page won't really look as impressive or be as effective. Um, so that's one big aspect. Another one is, like I mentioned, Facebook advertising. It doesn't work for every practice. There's some practices like urgent care centers, for example, may not necessarily benefit from Facebook ads, unless there's like some sort of like special going on for flu shots or something like that. Then ads could be beneficial, but typically for urgent care centers, you're getting patients when they need you. It's not more that you're going to convince someone to come to an urgent care center.
Um,
So,
we
did
have
you?
this, we have this advertising option on Facebook that uh, actually offers a call now button. So
Yes.
do you think that that would be beneficial for urgent care centers in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, calling out buttons for urgent care centers are really, really beneficial. So like ensuring that patients are kind of finding you when they need you. My only thing really with urgent care centers is that, when you're paying for advertising, it's typically best that you're getting people when they need you. And then with Facebook advertising, even though it's so highly targeted,
Mhm.
there's no way that you could really know when someone needs an urgent care center just through Facebook targeting.
Right.
So that's why I would typically, if you're going to go an advertising route with an urgent care center, I would recommend like Google, Bing, Yahoo ads, because then you're getting people when they need that service, and you know
That
that they need that service.
actually that makes sense because even if somebody is in an emergency medical need, they would probably not go
Yeah,
on Facebook. They would go on Google to search for.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's kind of rule of thumb with Facebook or anything where you're targeting interests. You don't want to target you don't want to promote like emergency services because if it's an
Right.
emergency, someone's gonna be searching for it anyway. They're not gonna stumble across a Facebook ad and be like, "Oh, I have this emergency." They would already be looking for it. So definitely emergency services, or urgent services, for that matter. Google and like search ads are definitely the way to go when it comes to advertising. But again, it depends. If you're an urgent care center and you have a deal on flu shots, absolutely use Facebook advertising because you can get very heavily targeted on who you're sending those to or who's seeing them.
Facebook provides much more detailed demographic targeting options. Uh,
Yes.
that's good for branding, but then that's not good for conversions, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely in some cases, and it definitely depends on the service that you're promoting. It's good if you're trying to target an interest, but not if you're trying to target any sort of motivation or any sort of action that somebody's trying to take immediately. Really, it's more just kind of awareness or letting people know, or that basically means awareness about your business or service you provide or anything like that.
Right. Okay. So, what's the next activity that we should be focusing
So the next activity, so that was three. So definitely just having an active page, I think is really big for a lot of businesses. Ensuring that each of your locations has its own page. Facebook has, the ability to create like a main brand page and then have a lot of branching location pages. So,
on?
having someone that's monitoring and posting on each of those pages is very big. Like post company announcements on your brand page and interesting content, and then like photos of patients and employees and events that you have at certain locations on the specific location pages. That's really huge. Both for just interaction and making your business look as professional as possible, but also because of search rankings. So people in those specific locations can search for your service and find your business on search results very easily.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point because Facebook these days actually offers local search optimization, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
actually becoming a search engine.
Yeah, it appears really highly on search engines, and a lot of businesses seem to kind of not really see it as a listing site, but it really is. It's a listing site. It's a listing site with a lot more to it.
Right. Okay. So the next so this is what you're talking about, a location-based targeting and
Correct.
creating location pages on Facebook is very beneficial for healthcare marketers.
Yeah, and being very very active on those, being very again posting personal pictures of the patients. So sorry, not personal pictures. Posting like pictures of patients or employees of the office. They're really good. Obviously, you need the patient's permission to post those. But yeah, so just consistently posting on each of those location pages, and then also the main brand page for any company announcements.
Right, right. And that's a very good point because before visiting, people can actually get know about the look and feel of the location, and
Yeah,
having location pages can really help the healthcare businesses. That's a great point. So,
correct.
so group activities. What do you think about that? Because there are a lot of communities for different specialities of, medical segments, and there are, specific areas of expertise that only doctors can talk about. And
Yeah.
if they're actually interacting on Facebook groups, then I think it helps them establish their expertise. What do you think about that?
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and yeah, that's one thing that I did forget to mention is yeah, groups are very important. People honestly, like, people are members of groups and don't really realize it a lot of the times.
Correct.
Being active on any sort of group where there's a large following could get you a lot more notice than you might think. Again, like, you may not see people that are parts of groups being continuously active on them, but they'll still get notified and they'll still pay attention to posts that are being added to that group. So, I mean, being active on any sort of group that's related to your specific service is still very beneficial. I think that, and even I had overlooked it when I was listing all those activities, but you're absolutely right. Like, that is something that's still very relevant on Facebook today.
Okay, so we have five great points that healthcare marketers can take a note of when it comes to Facebook marketing for them. So
Hmm.
thank you so much, Casey, for again sparing some time for us.
Absolutely,
And
anytime.
in our next interview, we would like to know more about Facebook advertising, like for
Perfect.
health industry. So
Can't
on
wait.
that, we'll be eagerly waiting to meet you again. And thank you so much for your time again.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Shivani.
Thank you, Casey. Great tips, and I'm sure that the industry, the healthcare industry, is going to benefit from
Yeah,
social media with all
absolutely.
mentioned. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.